خليني أحكي لكم أنا فين دلوقتي. أنا موجودة في مؤتمر للتحول الرقمي وتجربة مصر. اللي حاضرين هذا المؤتمر هم مجموعة من وزراء التربية والتعليم في حوالي 5 دول أفريقية، ومعاهم كمان ممثلين من الورلد فود بروجرام أو برنامج الغذاء العالمي. إيه اللي جاب دول لدول وإيه اللي جابهم مصر أصلا؟ خليني أحكي لكم الموضوع من أوله. موضوع من أوله إن مؤسسة دولية هي بتعزز النمو الاقتصادي في الدول الموجودة في أفريقيا وخصوصا جنوب أفريقيا، وهذه المنظمة اللي اسمها سادك. والأربع 5 دول اللي موجودين النهاردة، حوالي 5 دول موجودين النهاردة، هم موجودين من هذه المؤسسة الدولية علشان هم منبهرين بالتجربة المصرية في تطوير التعليم، وحابين ان هم يعرفوا عنها أكتر، علشان في الآخر كلنا ظروفنا شبه بعض وعندنا التحديات شبه بعض. فشايفين تجربة قدامهم رائدة ورائعة ووصلت لحاجة كويسة قوي، فهم حابين يتعلموا منها. الكلام ده يا جماعة أنا جايباه منهم، هم بنفسهم. وزراء التربية والتعليم الأفارقة اللي حاضرين هذا المؤتمر هم اللي قالوا إحنا جايين نتعلم من مصر. التجربة الرائدة اللي بيتم دعمها من قبل الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي بنفسه، إن ده لوحده شيء مبهر بالنسبة لهم، إن في إرادة سياسية وإدارة كمان من وزارة التربية والتعليم. الإدارة دي هي اللي نجحت كل الأدوات اللي موجودة، نجحت كل الخطوات اللي اتعملت، لأنها عرفت تستغل وتستخدم كل أداة موجودة بشكل في الآخر يفيد الطلبة والطالبات طبعا. طيب البرنامج الغذائي العالمي بيعمل إيه؟ موجود برضو، لأنه فعلا هو مدرك انه اذا كنا عايزين نعمل تنمية اقتصادية، اذا كنا عايزين نحارب الفقر والجوع اللي موجود في بعض الدول، فالبداية دايما بتكون من التعليم، لان التعليم بيحل مشاكل كتيرة جدا، حتى فقر الغذاء وقلة الغذاء والجوع، كل ده بيتحل من تعليم، وتعليم كويس. يكون تعليم كويس يعني ايه؟ يعني جيد، يعني مناسب لهذا العصر، يعني ولادنا يتخرجوا منه يلاقوا ان هم مستعدين للشغل وللحياة، مش يكونوا تعلموا حاجة ولقوا الحياة فيها اشياء اخرى مختلفة. كل ده محتاج تطوير للتعليم. وخليني اقول لكم كده اليوم مشي ازاي النهارده. اليوم مشي الاول انه كان في عرض تقديمي او برزنتيشن من دكتور عمرو بوصيله، وكان بيتكلم عن تطوير التعليم الفني. لان احنا بنتكلم يا جماعه عن تطوير التعليم، احنا مش بنتكلم عن الثانوي العام او التعليم العام وفقط، لكن التعليم الفني كمان تم تطويره. حتى المدارس الفنيه اللي هي الزراعي والصناعي والتجاري اللي موجوده من زمان بنظامها اللي عارفينه من زمان، ده كمان بيتم تطويره، بيتم ادخال تكنولوجيا للمدارس على مراحل برضو، وبيتم اعداد المعامل بشكل افضل، تطوير في المدرسين بشكل افضل. كل ده بس الى جانب كمان مدارس التكنولوجيا التطبيقيه اللي مهمه جدا جدا، واللي هي تجربه رائده على فكره، لانه في حصل كده تعاون مشترك ما بين الحكومة ممثلة في وزارة التربية والتعليم مع القطاع الخاص، الشركات والمصانع، اللي هي بعد كده الأولاد لما بيتخرجوا من المدارس دي فرص عملهم هتكون عندهم، وإذا حتى ما اشتغلوش في هذه الأماكن فهم معدين إعداد جيد جدا إن هم يكونوا رواد أعمال، يقدروا هم يبتكروا ويخلقوا فرص عمل لنفسهم مختلفة عن الموجودة في السوق كمان. فدي حاجة مهمة جدا ولفتت نظر الحاضرين. الحاجة الثانية اللي لفتت نظر الحاضرين برضو كان من العرض التقديمي لدكتور أحمد ظاهر، اللي كان بيتكلم فيه عن تطوير التعليم كاستراتيجية وفكرة عامة تتبناها الدولة المصرية. بيتكلم عن ازاي التحول الرقمي افادنا، ازاي التحول الرقمي حل مشاكل كتير، ازاي ان دي رحله طويله جدا باديه من 2017 واولادنا اهم من كي جي 1 لغايه جريد 6 او لغايه 6 ابتدائي اللي بيتعلموا بالمنهج المطور، بدأوا إنه يبانوا، بدأ شخصيتهم تبان، وبدأ فرق التعليم كمان يبان. فالتجربة دي كانت مبهرة أيضا لكل الحاضرين اللي منهم وزراء اتكلموا معانا وقالوا لنا إن إحنا جايين نتعلم منكم إزاي دخلتوا التكنولوجيا، إزاي إن التحديات اللي عندنا كلنا في الآخر شبه بعض في مصر وباقي الدول الأفريقية، يعني اختلافات بسيطة جدا، الظروف فعلا حقيقي متشابهة في كتير من الأشياء. وبالتالي كان مهم جدا نشوف تجربة مصر هي ازاي حلت المشاكل دي، وازاي انتوا بتعلمونا ان يعني هم اللي بيقولوا الدول الافريقيه ووزراء التربيه والتعليم الافارقه بيقولوا انتوا مصر بتعلمنا ازاي ان احنا تبان الظروف انها مش مواتيه واحنا مش جاهزين لاي تحول رقمي، والحاجات دي مكلفه جدا جدا، ولكن لا نقدر في مشوار طويل ورحله كبيره ان احنا نقسمها مراحل، وكل مرحله ناخدها نثبت قدامنا كده عليها ونروح بعد كده للمرحلة التانية. وفعلا هو مكلف بس بيحل مشاكل، وفعلا التحول الرقمي لانه تغير وتغيير في الثقافه، فاكيد هياخد وقت وهياخد مجهود وهياخد كتير علشان نقنع الاهالي والمدرسين ان هم يبقوا حابين هذه الفكره، بس هو في الاخر لمصلحه الاولاد. النهارده يوم مثالي، النهارده يوم انا حقيقي فخوره جدا بما تم انجازه في التعليم المصري، لانه بدانا نشوف اثره مش بس على اولادنا لكن في العالم كله. وهو بيبص لمصر عايز يتعلم منها، عايز يشوف التجربه، عايز يشوف وصلنا لفين، علشان في الاخر هم هياخدوا التجربه ويخلوها محليه تشبههم، مقرراتهم، حاجاتهم، ولكن احنا بقينا بيت الخبره. مصر بقت بيت الخبره اللي الدول الافريقيه دي بتيجي علشان تعرف منها كل جديد. الإدارة بتحصل إزاي. كانوا بيحيوا جدا مثلا إنه الأدوات اللي موجودة عندنا من إنترنت، حتى وإن كان في بعض الأماكن لسه ما وصلهاش إنترنت، ولكن بندخلها في أماكن مختلفة وبيوصلوها بتكنولوجيز مختلفة عشان الإنترنت يكون واصل. التابلتس، السكرينز الموجودة في الفصول دلوقتي، كل قنوات مدرستنا طبعا ومدرستنا بلس الابليكيشن المجاني، كل ده هم يعني معجبين جدا بيه، شايفينها ان هي تجربه مهمه جدا جدا، وشايفين انه كل ده ينفع ان احنا ناخده منكم يا مصر وتعلمونا ازاي بتعملوها، ازاي بتديروها. لان ده اللي كان بيثنوا عليه وبيقدروه جدا، ان وزاره التربيه والتعليم قدرت بالادوات دي كلها رغم صعوبه المشهد من بعيد، لكن قدرت انها تدير هذه الادوات. واداره الادوات شيء مهم جدا، برضو كانوا حابين ان هم ياخدوا الخبره دي مننا. حاجة أخيرة بقى عايزة أحكي لكم كده عليها وتشوفوها حتى معايا كده في القاعة، إزاي إحنا بنعرض شكل التعليم الحالي والمطور في مصر. الشاشات اللي متوصلة كأننا بالظبط قاعدين في غرفة العمليات المركزية التابعة لوزارة التربية والتعليم، فشايفة الفصول والمدارس وشايفة اللجان لو في امتحانات وشايفة كل حاجة. بورد تانية فيها تدريب المعلمين اللي موجود له سكشن خاص جدا في موقع وزارة التربية والتعليم، وازاي بيتم المعلمين تدريبهم، ازاي بيتم من خلال الانترنت. برضو هناك في شاشة أخرى برضو لمدرستنا بلس الابليكيشن المجاني اللي عليه كل الخدمات دي، وشاشة أخرى برضو عليها البيانات بتاعة الطلبة، كثافتهم قد ايه في المدارس، ايه المنطقة اللي فيها كثافة اعلى من منطقة تانية، طيب نسب الغياب، نسب الحضور، كل ده موجود. لان هي ده التحول الرقمي، مش بس ان احنا نحط المنهج على الانترنت وخلاص، لا، الموضوع فيه إدارة حقيقية. الخبرة المصرية الحمد لله وصلنا فيها لمرحلة كويسة جدا جدا. اخواتنا الأفارقة الموجودين معانا بنرحب بيهم، مبسوطين بيهم وفخورين بيهم ان هم حابين يطوروا من نفسهم. في الاخر احنا اخوات بنتعلم من بعض، وفي الاخر لازم نبقى فخورين بكل خطوة مصر بتعملها علشان خاطر اولادنا يكونوا في احسن حال دايما. يلا بينا كده مع بعض عشان تشوفوا بعض من اللقطات في هذا المؤتمر، وتشوفوا كمان بعض من كلمات الوزراء اللي موجودين في هذا المؤتمر. Your Honor, welcome to Egypt. We're very honored to have you.
Sua Excelência, seja bem-vinda. É prazer Egito tê-la cá. Thank you.
Why did you come to Egypt in this visit?
O que espera dessa visita ao Egito?
Eu espero, primeiro, vivenciar as experiências inovadoras do Egito.
I come to share with you the experience from Egypt.
Porque há coisas que o Egito já fez que nós ainda não fizemos.
There is many things that the Egypt is already done that we didn't yet. We come to share, to learn, and how we can implement in our country.
Não apenas no domínio da educação, do ensino técnico profissional,
not only on TV,
mas principalmente espero ver a organização de todo o processo de ensino e aprendizagem no ensino básico também.
I would like to learn with you about all process in education.
Eu também acredito que vamos poder vivenciar experiências boas ao visitarmos a escola do meio rural.
I have a big hope what we will see tomorrow in rural school.
Porque nós temos uma vasta área rural.
We have a big rural area in Angola.
E que precisa, de facto, de vivenciar experiências para que a educação seja igualitária para todos.
And what we will see tomorrow will help us to do the same in our country.
Yes. How do you see the Egyptian experience in the innovation of education so far?
Como é que Sua Excelência viu essa experiência do Egito, a utilização dos meios digitais na escola?
Acho que para nós ainda é desafiante, é muito positivo, porque a digitalização faz chegar mais rapidamente o conhecimento a todos e em igual circunstância.
What we see here is very well done from Egypt, is good, and we try to learn with you. We want to share with you to implement the same in our country. We see that you are 2 or more steps than us ahead.
You find that we have a lot of challenges in common. Maybe we, from our experience, from the Egyptian experience, you may implement some of the solutions.
Verificamos que tivemos e continuamos a ter alguns problemas em comuns. Pensamos que as soluções podem ser úteis em ambos os países.
Acreditamos que sim. O Egito é um parceiro muito importante da Angola. Esteve sempre do lado da Angola desde o início da luta de libertação nacional. Não podemos esquecer disso. E, portanto, os desafios que hoje vivemos em termos de educação não são muito diferentes, embora acreditamos que o Egito já esteja muito avançado.
We believe that you have a good experience. What we are happy what we see here, and we hope work with you, with Egypt. Egypt always is with Angola, is a brother for us. We want to work together.
Yes, of course. What is the big obstacle that you find in Angola, and maybe you are looking today for a solution for it?
Qual tem sido o grande obstáculo para o setor da educação em Angola que tem impedido esse desenvolvimento a nível do setor da educação?
A grande dificuldade começou porque nós tivemos uma guerra muito prolongada. E essa guerra destruiu infraestruturas escolares e impediu o desenvolvimento, sobretudo nas áreas do interior.
The big challenge in Angola, as you know, we had a war. This war destroyed a lot of schools, and we had to reconstruct all of these schools. Yeah, this is a big challenge, big obstacle for our schools.
Isso também fez com que houvesse o êxodo do campo para a cidade.
Many students that lived in rural area, they moved to city.
Então nós temos as cidades com muitos alunos e o meio rural com muito poucos.
The majority of students are in the big cities. In rural area, only few students. This is a big challenge too.
E como o atraso é grande, temos dificuldades em colocar os professores no meio rural.
And we have a difficult to put teachers in rural areas.
Yes, more or less the same problems we are facing in Egypt.
Problema que temos aqui no Egito.
Yeah. Mas eu acredito que nós tenhamos um pouco mais, porque o desenvolvimento que o Egito já tem do ponto de vista da oferta de infraestruturas para habitação para os professores no meio rural, a questão da eletricidade, do acesso à internet, que nós ainda não temos em todas as localidades.
we see here that your student teacher, they can have access at the internet. There in Angola, we have this challenge to access the internet. Yes.
Yes. So what are your dreams for the future, for the education in Angola?
Quais são os seus sonhos para o futuro da educação em Angola?
Eu gostava de poder fazer com que todos os angolanos, cada um dos angolanos, tivesse uma formação que lhe desse competências profissionais e técnicas para poder montar o seu próprio negócio e ter uma qualidade de vida superior, igual a que todos nós almejamos.
I would like to each Angolan people can start, get the education with quality, develop his own business, and help all together.
Yes. The best of luck for you. We're very delighted to have you in Egypt and very prosperous future for you, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Desejamos toda a sorte à senhora ministra, que tenha sucesso nos seus afazeres e que a estadia no Egito seja proveitosa e tudo de bom.
Muito obrigada e acreditamos que sim, que vamos fazer uma boa parceria com o Egito.
Thank you. I believe that we work together with Egypt and we will be successful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Your Honor. We're very pleased to have you in Egypt.
Yes.
Would like to know what is the purpose of your visit to Egypt?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I have to thank the Egyptian authority, in particular the Ministry of Education, for hosting us here, and also the SADC, which is the South African Development Community, and also World Food Program, who facilitated our coming into Egypt. We are basically 4 ministers from 4 countries. Myself, I'm the Minister of Education and Training from Lesotho. There is a minister from Namibia. There is a minister from Angola. There is a permanent secretary from Zambia. So it's a collection of ministers that came here. Our own purpose for coming here was to learn how Egypt has introduced digital education in its entire system. In our different countries, we are at different levels of trying to introduce digital education. For me, as a Minister of Education from Lesotho, I did interact with the Vice Minister of Education over my trip here. The main idea is we have seen also through COVID challenges that digital education is the way to go. It may also, in the longer term, cut particular challenges and expenditure that we have. So what we have learned here is that Egypt is very far from where we are, but the lessons that we are going to learn here will make us to leapfrog certain stages so that we come to the end of it. And we have seen that the way the digital education is done here, the main idea is to leave no child behind, which is a very good, innovative idea. They have taken us through how they got devices, how the private sector participated, how the teachers were trained, and what are the challenges that they have now. So with all of those information, I think we are in a better position to start digital education in our different countries. And the way I say it is that if these issues can be done in my term as a Minister of Education in Lesotho, I will be part of the history that has changed the way we teach our kids in the country. So it's really a good opportunity. And we are also thinking to send some few teachers here to be trained for 2 to 3 months during vacation when schools close down there. Then they can come here for a short training, because it is important for them to be trained and also to agree on this. In addition to that, we have been also to Dubai, and we are trying to establish a network of few schools in different countries introducing digital education with the assistance from SADC and Dubai. And therefore, I think we are moving ahead with the digital education. We may have challenges here and there, but I think the future is quite bright.
You come from a very beautiful country.
Oh, thank you very much.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a very small population, correct?
We have, first of all, it's one country that is totally landlocked by one country.
Yeah.
It's within South Africa,
South
so it's
Africa,
independent. And we are normally referred to as the kingdom in the sky. Mm-hmm. In winter, we do have snow. We do have skiing in winter. Yeah. So it's a small country. The population is about 2 million.
Yeah.
And the vice minister, when was talking about the number of students here, it far exceeds the population in Lesotho.
Exactly. That's why I was asking you, because many people may ask, what challenges do you have?
We do have a challenge of landscape. Some of the students are in the rural. Yeah. They don't have access to connectivity, to digital education, and we are trying to introduce those even in the rural area. Yes. So the lessons we are learning here will be able to make it much more universal.
What makes digitalization and education using digital and e-learning what makes all of this so attractive and that you may like to use it in the education?
Yeah, what is attractive is that it assists in the universal access to quality education.
So it's the access.
Yes, it's the access. It's the ease of access. Mm. And you can have a standardized way of getting material and learning material.
So it's a proper quality control tool.
It's a quality control issues. Mm-hmm. So it's a good initiative.
Yeah. Okay. What are your dreams for your country?
My dreams for my country is that in the next 5 years, every child should have access to digital education. And by so doing, in the next few years, we will see the human capital in our country much more developed, so that the country can be sustainable economically, based on our future leaders that are coming in.
Yes. We hope the best for you. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Kelebo. Thank you.
I recognize the major and the vast role you're playing in the World Food Program and this event to happen, and your concern and seeing that the education is very important in order to help nations to survive, and maybe this is one of the major solutions for the scarcity of food. And this linking, maybe a lot of people don't recognize. Yes. Can you elaborate on that and explain it?
What we are exploring, it's an exploration, is really, we've invested significantly over the last 30 years almost across Africa in the integration of digital technologies for learning and teaching, and education management. What we've not explored sufficiently is how we can also add to that equation issues of mental health and well-being, as well as exploring how we can combine digital technologies with issues of food security. And what that looks like, certainly from the World Food Program perspective and its partnership with the Southern African Development Community, is that we are, for example, exploring how can we establish food gardens in the schools, working with the natural ecosystems, growing seeds, integrating that into biology lessons so that it is all integrated. And that in growing food gardens, bringing in agricultural techniques, that can be linked to strategies around food security. So it is easier said than done, but it is at least an idea that we are exploring based on some examples across the African continent where we have seen the value of really well-managed food gardens where the children they plant the seeds and they grow the food, and they can also eat the vegetables and so on that they can actually reap the benefits from. And so very exploratory, very experimental, but there's something there, we think, that can also get communities very active in the food security agenda as well. So it's not just in the schools, but also working with communities. And therein, I think, lies some of the approaches that we are beginning to explore in Madagascar, for example. There's a particular case where we've looked at containerized infrastructures, renewable energy resources using solar panels, developing food gardens, integrating that into the academic program, and including well-being mental health programs as an integrated approach to schooling in a country like Madagascar, which is also at risk of climate change. So these issues are becoming increasingly integrated, and we are constantly searching for solutions to find ways that are relevant for local contexts. And I think that there is very exciting possibilities. And I'm also very aware that we'll probably make lots of mistakes along the way, like we always have. But
we learn.
But we learn, and there's definitely, it's part of the music of the future, I think.
Yes, of course. You're a professor in Johannesburg University.
That's right.
You're an e-learning specialist too.
Correct.
And you have stated your point of view in the Egyptian experience. I'd like to hear it again and everyone to know it.
So the interesting thing is that I have been working in this space for the last 25 years. And one of the things that I was actively involved in is an organization called SchoolNet Africa. And we had a very strong base in Egypt. So I've been to Egypt a few times, and we made very strong connections to what the good practices in Egypt, and leveraging from that also experiences in the rest of the African continent. And we've had some huge successes that we are wanting to leverage. And so my experience has been very limited, but what we are most excited about is I think that we can learn from the way Egypt has proceeded with building strong capabilities within your Ministry of Education, and how you've been able to manage large numbers of players in the ecosystem, particularly the private sector. So that's been extremely encouraging, because we've always had challenges with vendors wanting to control the narrative. And so I think Egypt is showing us the way forward in terms of navigating partner ecosystems, including with the private sector, and how we can combine that with a strong, capable Ministry of Education that can control the narrative and manage the interventions, and also develop the relevant frameworks. And that is a big part of the interest of this team who are visiting Egypt, to learn how you are doing that at scale, because we've got many examples of where this has been tried at scale and they've not been successful. So we're particularly interested in your strategies to design at scale, and strategies that also defends education as a public good, and at the same time partnering with the private sector. And there's a lot to learn, and it's very exciting. And we look forward to learning lots more in the coming years in our partnership with you.
Thank you so much. We're so pleased to have you in Egypt, and we hope all the best for all the African continent.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yasmin?
Yes.
Yeah, shukran. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome, Your Honor, to Egypt.
Thank you.
What is the purpose of your visit?
Well, the purpose of the visit is to learn from Egypt, especially how they've digitalized the Ministry of Education and their schools as a whole. Something that is modern, because the COVID pandemic taught us a lot of things.
Yeah.
That digitalization is not just something that should be scoffed about. It's a necessity.
Yeah.
And if you want education to be quality, that's the way to go. So that's the only reason why we are coming, because we've noticed that our colleagues in Egypt, they've gone very far in terms of trying to digitalize the education system.
Okay. What are the aspects that you have seen before visiting Egypt that you have seen that we have gone so far, and that's why you decided to come and learn about
I think through the World Food Program and the SADC, we noticed that much as we're grappling with the issue of quality education, which meant that the modern way of going about it is to make sure that they're all computerized and so on. We noticed that Egypt had gone very far, because they themselves, other than just realizing that the digitalization was important, they've implemented a lot of aspects of their education system and made sure that almost all schools are digitalized, and they've done it through so many areas, not just providing computers, but in interconnectivity. They've also looked at the curriculum, which is modernized and infused issues of computers and digitalization into that. So we thought that is a very good learning curve for our country.
Yeah. We all have more or less the same challenges. Egypt, Zambia, Namibia, everyone in the African continent, more or less the same challenges. Maybe some people would think if we have challenges related to the number of teachers, we don't have enough teachers, or we don't have enough trained teachers, we don't have enough classrooms, why go to the digitalization? It's so costly, and maybe we don't need it now.
No, we absolutely need it. It doesn't matter whether you don't have all these that are necessary for the education system, but it's costly, I know. But it depends also what kind of education you want to see that should prevail in any country. So to a level where, yes, we all have factors that look the same. They are interchangeable in terms of we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough computers, it's all this. But you see, at the end of the day, there's a way of beginning. You have to have a start, and those other things will come in place. So for me, I think the way Egypt has gone to a level where, notwithstanding that they have all those shortcomings, but they've gone into the issue of digitalization, it comes first, and the other things will come in. And
the digitalization maybe would be a part of the solution for all those problems. It is
a part of the solution, because notwithstanding the fact that you don't have enough teachers, but the gap then is filled because you computerize the system. And at the end of the day, if you are not able to have every child in school being taught by the teachers, we've been told they can be at home and still be able to do that, because the system is computerized. It stems from the homestead right into schools. So even when a child is sick, we shouldn't get worried that he will miss out on classes, because he's still be in hospital or at home, but still following the system, because it's been interconnected and it's digitalized.
What is the one tool that you have known or learned this morning in the summit, and that you really like to have in your country?
Oh, it's a lot. First of all, I think we have to learn one thing. If our country, like any other African country, is going to move into the direction which Egypt has moved, there has to be a proper political will to do that. Otherwise, it cannot work. So it stems from what is the government's position. What do they want to see?
The strategy.
The strategy. Are they also willing to spend and be able to move in that direction? Because if that political will from the beginning is not there, all these things we've learned here will never work. So what we've noticed, and which I also totally agree with, it's what is the government saying. And that's exactly what Egypt has done. First of all, they believe that quality education goes with the pronouncements that are made by the government. And if pronouncements are made, financial capacity also will be given. But also what is important, because you are moving ahead, cooperating partners will come on board, because they're seeing you as an example that you are willing to do what you believe is good for your country and the children. So for me, what I've noticed with Egypt is the determination to do it. First of all, they are determined. They have resolved that this is the way to go. They are not going backwards. They've just decided whether we like it or not, this is what is going to be good. If we want quality education, if we want education for all children, that is all inclusive. And I've noticed that they didn't have to wait until they have all the teachers.
Yeah.
Neither did they have to wait until they find that they have enough money. But they've taught us that it can be done in stages. And in any case, they've involved also partners, the public sector, something that doesn't happen in our countries, that they've won the hearts of the public sector, who don't, in most cases, who have the money, but it's how they've convinced them that this is important, because in any case, if education is developed, the country will develop.
Yes, of
and
course.
I think that's something that all of us are missing, to get private sector to be on board and come up with a PPP structure. That's something that is phenomenal. And for me, it's a learning curve, and that's exactly what I'm taking back home. That we can do it, we have the private sector, but it's how are we convincing them to realize that it's important. They shouldn't be saying, what is in it for me? What is in it for them is to see the child be equipped. What is in it for them is ultimately to have the country develop. Because with the education system, which is qualitative, which is all-inclusive, one that has everything that the child requires, it goes without saying that even the country will develop.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
thank
What are your dreams for your country
Oh,
in
a
education?
lot. Oh, there's a lot. I'm very passionate about what goes on in my country, about the issues of education. Because you see, when you educate a child from the early stage, and this is exactly what we're advocating for, from the early stage, the dream that should come true is that we won't even doubt what kind of education we want. And if you also engulf an education system where you are listening to what the people want, what the parents want, it will go a long way in making sure that even the country develops. An illiterate population just destroys the country. But if from inception you say we want to equip our children right from inception with the practical knowledge and everything that goes with education, you are guaranteed that your country will develop. So for me, I'm going back with a lot. I've learned within a short period of time, there's a lot that Egypt is doing. I'm going back with that. And I think all it requires is a determination and will and political will to want to change the system, to, put it in the way that you want it, to be all inclusive, to be one that is qualitative, to be one that at the end of the day will work for the children.
And you have mentioned parents, and I'd like to ask you about parents and mothers in your country. How do they see the innovation of education?
In fact, right now, when the curriculum was being developed, they were crying and saying, we want to have a say in that. Because they know what is good for their children. They know that they have a say in whatever is happening for their children. They know very well that in these days, in this time and age, there are no white-collar jobs. But if a child is equipped with a practical knowledge, a hands-on knowledge, who knows? They can just, come out of the education system and be able to actually formulate their own entrepreneur, ventures. And they don't need to rely on the government. And that's exactly what the parents are crying out for.
So they realize the importance and the priority.
Absolutely, that is important. We are not just digitalizing, but we want to actually allow these children to have a hands-on kind of education, a practical side, not theoretical, not where they memorize the book, but where they are looking at the day-to-day things that happen in their lives and be able to hold them hands-on. That's the kind of education the parents are looking for.
What is the obstacle that you may face when digitalizing the education? Is it the internet, the access to internet?
No, I think
or
the first obstacle, whether you like it or not, is change.
The change.
The change comes with a lot of resistance. It will be changed from the teachers themselves. I remember when the computers started many, many years ago. I used to work in the bank then. When the computers were introduced, we kept on giving lame excuses and saying, no, the manual system was better. The reason being that it's a mindset change. It needs to change. There's nothing to be scared about. And you just have to force it onto the people. Where are we now? Everybody now is able to operate a computer.
Of course.
And yet at that particular time, there was a lot of resistance. So even in this, I know there will be, first of all, resistance coming from the teachers themselves who will be telling you we're better off to just teach in the way we're teaching. But because you want to bring change, foster change, you have to force it on them. But even then, help them also to provide training. There'll be trainers of training until one day they'll be able to have no choice but to have space and be able to participate in what is going to happen to the country.
Yes. Do you have in mind what are you going to do and to cooperate with Egypt with? Yani, His Honor, the Minister of Education in Lesotho, was in his interview with us saying that he may have the teachers training in Egypt.
In fact, for me, that's a lot. In fact, that's what I took out from there, because I was telling myself, we can't teach ourselves. We need to learn from others. First of all, we have to open up and say we are ready to learn from others. The moment you open your mind and say you are ready to learn from others, it becomes very simple. So what I've learned there is that Egypt is ready. They've offered an olive branch to us that we can teach your teachers. We can actually help you with the computer systems. We can also help you with the curriculum so that you infuse the digital aspect and do it very well. So they are ready for anything. So it's really up to us to take it or leave it. And why wouldn't we take it if it's being offered to us on the doorstep? So really, it's really up to all of us. They've offered an olive branch. They've been very open about it. They haven't actually hidden anything. So all they are saying is that if they are developed, Africa will develop. They're ready to give us anything. So it's really up to us to embrace this, take it up, and be able to call on them, knock at their doors to say, we are now ready to be trained. We are now ready to actually be given. So it's a learning curve. In fact, this step that we've taken today, it's a very good example of how they've embraced us to come and just learn, and they're open about what they're doing. So it's actually an already advantage. They are not hiding anything. They are being very open. Just this trip shows very well that they mean well, and they would want all other African countries to actually follow their footsteps. And we are ready for that.
And we hope the very prosperous future for all the African countries. And we're very honored to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I was telling myself, I can't go back to Zambia without seeing the pyramids. So
please do.
If I don't see the pyramids, then it means I haven't come to Egypt. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope that the organizers will make sure that we see that.
Yes, inshallah, you will see them.
Thank you
and you
so
will have
much.
a beautiful day there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's like coming to Zambia and you don't see the Victoria Falls. It means you haven't come to Zambia.
Yes, so we'll come to Zambia so soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My first time here, but I'm so happy.
Yeah, and we're happy to have you. Did you like Egypt so far?
Oh, very much.
What did you most like in Egypt?
You know, I knew a lot about Egypt in history books.
Yeah.
But now I'm here to see with my own eyes, and I like the dynamic. You know, it's one of the very dynamic and economic developed country in the entire Africa. And I'm the SADC Deputy Executive Secretary, based in Gaborone at the headquarters. But I'm from the DRC, and in the DRC, Egypt is very close to our heart for having helped us very much, especially recently during the elections. You know, Egypt helped us with logistics. So we are very grateful.
Yes, we're siblings, you know?
Yes.
Okay, and since you are presenting the SADC today in this conference we're having, I'd like to ask you, why did you pick Egypt in particular to come and learn what happened in the education system?
Because we are not talking only about education the way we used to do it traditionally. We are talking about digitalization on education. And when you look our countries in Africa, over 54 countries in Africa, Egypt is really a model for having promoted and having implemented, the digitalization in education.
Yes.
And I'm the Deputy Executive Secretary at SADC, as I said, and in the SADC region, we really take it as an example. We really put a lot of focus on digitalization, and Egypt being at the forefront, it's good for us to be here and to learn what you have been doing, to share our experiences, to learn about your challenges, and your solution to go forward. So Egypt was really a must-see experience. That's why we are here. And we are listening, we are sharing, and then I'll go back to the SADC and bring all this experience to SADC, and including to my own country, which is part of SADC, to tell them this is really the model to follow.
Yes. Yeah. Many people may ask, why would SADC be interested in digitalization of education? Or maybe they would ask, why are you interested in education? You are supposed to be interested in the developing of the economics of these African countries. So why is it related to education too?
Yes. So SADC is, as you know, a Southern Economic Development Community.
Yes.
But can you really develop a country without education? Nelson Mandela, who's from South Africa,
of course,
a great leader, used to say, education is the best weapon to change the world.
Yes.
So this is it. That's why we need education, and digitalization is the way to go, the way forward.
Yeah.
And since Egypt is leading us on this path, so we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the most maybe difficult challenge that you are thinking about that you may face in other countries, and maybe you have found a solution for it here in this summit?
Actually, first of all, to make people understand that we have to digitalize the education. And I liked what the presenter said at some point. He said, our children, look at them in this modern world. They are all on their screen, etc.
Yes.
So what we have to do is to go, towards them,
Yes.
to what they are interested in, to change the way we are learning, we are teaching them, not just to memorize,
Yes.
but to ask questions, to understand. And, internet, digitalization is really the way to go. And we are changing things. But what I would find very challenging for our countries is to get the capacity, So you have here in Egypt trained teachers, trained
yes.
trainers. We have to do that. We also have to have schools. That's what we are missing. We have to have access to equipment. We have to have access to funding. So it's a lot of challenges. But most of all, as I think the minister of one of the authority from Zambia said, it takes political will to change this.
Yes.
And I really want to commend, your leaders, the head of state of Egypt, for having this vision of changing things. And with education, young people will get the skills. They will be able to access jobs, the job market. So this is really the way to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
During the summit, we have noticed that you were impressed. Many of the attendees were impressed by certain tools and certain solutions. One of these was the class that was ready to be put in place.
Yes.
This was one thing. The other thing, maybe the local server to be put so that the internet access would go anywhere and everywhere to the farthest point. What are the tools that you were impressed by during the summit?
What you mentioned, schools and access even to villages. But what I was also impressed by was the content. The several applications, the apps that have been developed, but developed, according to the vision of Egypt. No, taking things from elsewhere, putting in the curricula. You developed your own curricula, and you succeeded in getting different apps. You succeeded in getting the private sector, buy in what you wanted and build what you wanted, so that you can transmit that to your children and your young people. So that's just wonderful. For me, being here at this conference was mind-blowing. Yeah. I'm gonna really take what I heard, what I saw, back to the SADC region.
Yes, inshallah. Do you see it's a strength point of having a localized curriculum and education system? And that's why I see that all of the African countries, the Minister of Education of the African countries attending this summit are intending to do this. They want to localize the system, not taking an international curriculum and put it as it is.
Yeah, definitely. Me, when I was in school, unfortunately, I learned more about the French history than Africa history. It's later on that I learned about African history, Egypt, the really the bedrock of our own history. It's later on. But now I'm so glad to see that our leaders, everyone in Africa sees the importance on, having localized, curricula for our children. So they know where they come from and where they are going.
This is their identity. They have to know.
Their identity. That you said the word, their identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Your Excellence,
it was a pleasure.
for having for you to be here and for giving us the chance to have this small interview with you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna take so much back home.
Yes. I hope you enjoy your visit in Egypt.
Yeah,
Thank
I will.
you.
I will.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
شوف الحلقة كاملة من خلال تطبيق مدرستنا بلس. مدرستنا، مستقبل يبدأ الآن.